audience is mostly high income earners, let's say six figures to $250,000 in W-2. In today's market, with all these different asset classes, what would you say would be the, I guess, maybe not best, but fastest way for someone to replace that type of income on a monthly basis?
Great question. I just think, Jesse, I don't want to come out and tell everybody that multifamily is the best vehicle. To me, it is. And it worked for me because as a pizza guy, I'm working already 55, 60 hours a week. I couldn't buy a house or two houses a year or fix and flip. I already had a job. So for me, I was like, let's buy a complex, whether it's 10 units or 15 units. They're all in one location. You only need to buy one or two a year. I mean, could you imagine buying 7 or 8 or 10 homes a year, doing the transactions? I just closed a transaction last month. What a nightmare between the inspection, the taxes, the insurance, the closing statement, the walkthroughs. It was a nightmare to do one transaction. Can you imagine doing like one or two of those a week to try to scale and flip homes? I couldn't do that. So for me, we settled on multifamily early on, saying, hey, if we could do one or two deals a year, by the end of year 5, we've got 7 or 8 really good deals here. And that's what ended up happening. So on our very first transaction, it was a 25 unit deal. All 25 units in one location. Jake is driving around. He's a drug rep for Glaxo. So during the afternoon, going out collecting rents, showing apartments, and it's one location. It's 25 roofs. It's one lawn to cut. It's one property tax bill, one insurance bill, one loan. That was what really worked well for us. And then from there, we were able to scale. 3 months later, we bought another property. And what we love about multifamily is you can start hiring management and maintenance techs. It's very difficult when you have 3 or 4 or 5 homes to go out and find property management and it's people that do handiwork. It's just very difficult to scale that. But with 2 or 3 transactions in multifamily, you can already have a payroll that's helping you out.
I love the scalability factor because I have not invested in multifamily yet. Except I do co-living, which is kind of like a blend. I like to say it's like you get single family appreciation, but you get multifamily cash flow because you're renting out by bedroom. So I'm in the process of scaling. I'm like, man, I'm running into the same things that you just mentioned. So with multifamily, what would you say is the biggest difference between multifamily and single family when it comes to how you're able to sell on the other side? Because how you sell is completely different from my understanding. Is that correct?
I love the question. There's some really big differences. And Jesse, to the point, I can't say that multifamily is the best business because I'm down here in St. Augustine. Believe it or not, short-term rentals down here have been phenomenal the last few years. And if you have a small portfolio of short-term rentals and you run that as a business and you have a property management company and you have a little real estate brokerage and you have some short-term rentals, that's phenomenal. And what you're doing is phenomenal also. The scalability is difficult. The 2 biggest differences between single family or residential and commercial and multifamily is, number one, in the multifamily space, we don't have an MLS for larger deals. You may find a 20 unit or a 30 unit on the MLS, but it's really broker driven. You need to create relationships. That's important. And the second component is the financing aspect of it. We have shorter term loans that come due. When you're buying a residential, you may buy a 30-year fixed loan. It's amortized fixed for 30 years. After 30 years, it gets paid off. We may have a 30-year amortization in multifamily, but it may, the term may end up after 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, that loan comes due or it resets. It may be a balloon payment where that whole loan is due. And what do you got to do? You either have to refinance it or you have to sell it. And you've seen what's gone on in the last couple of years. We've always preached long-term fixed rate financing, and this bridge debt has come to really harm a lot of people in the last couple of years because they thought, I'm going to buy this short-term debt, which is fine, but interest rates are low. When interest rates rose, all of a sudden you're having an asset that appreciated a little bit, but all of a sudden the cost of capital went from 3% to 8 or 9%, and now you're caught. And not understanding your exit strategy is really, really important. The other component about co-living, that maybe you can clear this up for me, but what you're trying to do with multifamily is you're trying to create a portfolio where you have an exit strategy. There's a lot of end buyers for what my product is. So I can actually think to myself, hey, when you make money in real estate is when you actually crystallize the equity from a sale or from a refinance. Everyone says you make money on the buy. You may make money on the buy, you may make cash flow, but you haven't crystallized the exit. It's like buying a stock at 10 and it's at $25. Have you made money? You haven't realized it. It's a paper profit, but that it's not realized. It's the same thing with real estate. You need to exit that asset. So in the co-living space, if there's not a large pool of buyers, or let's say the RV space, or the mobile home park space, or whatever space you're looking at, or your market, you may have a small market where there's not a lot of demand. Understand that as part of your exit strategy, that you may have to hold that asset for a little bit longer. There's nothing wrong with that, but understand that it may be harder to find property management in these smaller markets. So understanding that, for me, that's why I love multifamily. There's a big pool of buyers. There's a big demand for it. And like I said, once you create those exits and you repurpose that capital into the next deal, that's how you can really start scaling up your portfolio.